Hey everyone, it's Jill the Wandering Stamper. It is such an exciting time of the year for people who love to paper craft. Not only is it the new year in 2024, but it is time for annual mini catalog to come out and Sale-A-Bration. If you don't know what Sale-A-Bration is, it is a time of the year where you earn free products on all of your purchases. So every $50 you spend with Stampin' Up, with me maybe, you will receive a free gift of your choice, and there's some great selections. So it's super exciting. I will show you this catalog so you can see all of the fun offerings. Also, you can click on the link below to my website and go over to the my online store, and you can click on that catalog as well and take a look at it. Today we're going to play with the most adorable stamp set you've ever seen. It's called the Bee Mine suite of products. It's perfect for Valentine's Day, and since we're only a little over a month away from that, it's a perfect time to do some Valentine cards. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you 4 different cards created with the suite of products. They're pretty easy to make, and you just use your imagination to decorate them. So I'm going to take a moment to point the camera down, and we'll get started on this lovely Bee Mine suite and make some Valentine cards. Thanks for joining me. Oh my goodness, look how cute these products are. So I'm going to go through what we've got here to create our cards and show you the Be My Valentine stamp set and the Bee Mine suite. So first we have the star of the show. These are the Bee Mine Valentine stamps. It's so cute. There's all kinds of bee related things, lots of cute little Valentine and love sayings, all the parts to the bee. You've got several faces, antennas, the body. We've got flowers that go with the designer series paper. This heart is actually the background for these sweet little wings. And you're probably wondering, well, how do we cut them out? Do they come with dies? No, they come with this cute builder punch. So this is the Bee Mine builder punch. And what I love about it is these are the pieces that build the bee. But also, if you look closely, there's 2 different size hearts, and this could be a message bubble. So this is going to be a very versatile stamp long after Valentine's Day is over. This is not part of the suite, but we're going to be using this heartfelt hexagon punch for some of our things. I found I've started using this a whole lot, and this is one of the products in the new catalog. And then we have these Adhesive Backed Hearts and Flowers that go really well with this paper. We're going to use some of those. And then we also have this sweet sorbet ribbon. It's really pretty. I don't actually have any sweet sorbet paper right now, but it still matches perfectly with the real red and of course the paper. So we're going to use some of that. And let me show you the paper. So we are going to coordinate our designer series paper with Daffodil Delight, Petal Pink, Basic White, and Real Red. So those are the colors I chose for the cards we're going to make. But look at this designer series paper. It's so pretty. I love Stampin' Up's designer series paper. So the 12 by 12 paper comes in 6 designs, double-sided, so really 12 designs. So we've got this sweet little honey, these little honeyed bottles, which by the way, will pair perfectly with the Fluffiest Friends. There's a little bear in there holding a honey pot. This paper coordinates great with that stamp set. Here's a little set of bees flying around, some bees holding flowers, and there's also flowers and stem stamps in here that go along with that. We've got a background of flowers. We've got some more bees and these sweet little bees with hearts. And of course, this is Stampin' Up paper. So look at the back. You could use the back all year long. We've got all kinds of cute background papers that go with it. So this is the suite of products that we're going to be using. This is available in the current brand new mini catalog, which I will link below. So if you love this, you want to grab it up quick because Valentine's Day is on the way, and I bet that this is going to go fast. So we are going to create 4 different Valentine's cards. Let me grab the first set. I did some of the work ahead of time just to make it easy, But the first card we're going to make is a Z-fold card. It's a very simple card, and I created it using these adorable little bees. So let's make this one. So the first thing you want to do is grab your paper cutter, and you're going to cut your base. Let me move some of these pieces out of my way. Your base is going to be 5.5 by 8.5, so it's a standard base. So we're going to cut that at 5.5. By 8.5, and of course it's already 8.5 wide. So then we're going to be scoring it at in two locations, at 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. So we're doing it in half like a regular card, but then we have that other half that folds back, which makes it a Z-fold. Okay? So we're going to grab our bone folder and give that a little crease. All right, so now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and get a piece of Designer Series paper. I've decided to use this one, and this is going to go on this front portion here. So we're going to cut that at 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. So 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. All right, so that's going to layer right there. Look how pretty that looks with the real red. And then we're going to cut some Whisper White at 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and that's going to be for the inside of our card. So we've got 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And that's the inside of our card. All right, so now, once we have that done, we're going to grab, these are cling stamps, so I put a little squishy mat underneath just to help stamp a nice vivid image. I just like to do that. So we're going to do some stamping on the inside. So I've decided to have the inside say, "You make my heart buzz." And I have pulled out all of the stamps that I'm going to be using just so I don't have to go digging around. This is a great way to kind of corral all your stamps so you don't have loose stamps all over the place. So I will grab a big block that I'm not going to use and put those stamps on the block so that I know where everything is. So I'm going to grab the Real Red ink. I like to do my stamping because my hands are so dirty. They're so inky right now. I like to do my stamping first, so if I mess up, I haven't attached anything to the card. And I am going to put this on the top corner. And the reason I'm doing that is because half of this card is going to be exposed. So I want to make sure that my words are hidden. Put a little Stampin' Mist on my cleaner. Got a little dried out. All right. And now there are several little heart shapes in this stamp set. So I'm going to grab these little tiny ones because I want to add, I don't want to keep the right side of this paper plain. I want to add some decoration to it. So I'm just going to simply stamp these hearts in red ink, and I'm just going to stamp a couple of times down the side just to make it interesting. All right, that's it. So that is done. I'm going to take that off so my block is available. All right, so that is all we're doing on the inside. I'm going to set that aside. And then the other thing we want to do while we have our stamp pad open is I grab this punch, and I'm going to grab a little piece of Petal Pink because I want to keep my colors working together. So I'm going to punch out this little heart, which is actually the bee's wings as well, but we are going to use it as a heart. So I've cut that out, and now I'm going to grab the stamp. There's a stamp that says love you, and it happens to fit perfectly in this heart. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that in there. I'm going to have to pull this down out of your way so I can see it. All right, so there we go. So it fits perfectly in that heart. So we've got that piece. And now the next piece I'm going to grab is the wings. And I've decided that I'm going to stamp those on vellum. So I'm going to close up this red. I'm going to grab my Memento ink. Or you could use a basic black as well. That's perfectly fine. I just have the Memento ink out. So I'm going to grab a piece of vellum because I want the wings to be a little bit see-through. Now, if you don't have vellum, it's fine. You can use white paper as well, but I'm going to use the vellum. And I'm just going to ink up those little wings and stamp them down here. And I'm going to do two, of course, because we have two wings. We're going to make two of these little bees. All right. So that's done. And I'm not going to close that up yet. So now that I have those, I'm going to put the first one. Now this is still a little wet. I will warn you, you might want to use your heat gun or give this a couple minutes to dry because the Memento ink, the vellum paper isn't as absorbent, so it takes a little longer for that to dry. So just a little warning there. But I just punch that out, and then I'm going to do that same thing for the other wing. Just like that. And you end up with some little bonus hearts too, so you never know, you could use those for something. All right, I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to set these little wings aside so they can finish drying. Put those over there. And I have these two little clear hearts, so I'm going to put these over here and put them in a little container for another time. So now the next thing we're going to need, and I already did this so that we didn't have to take the time to do it, but I stamped two of the antennas in black ink, and then I went ahead and just fussy cut those because we're going to glue those onto our bees. And then the next thing we're going to do is grab the body of the bees. I had to find it there for a second. So this is the bee's body, and that's going to get stamped in black. And I decided to use the Daffodil Delight and just stamp the black right on that. So I'm going to take this off my block and put this on the block, and then I'm going to ink it up really good. And I'm going to stamp one, and then I'm going to stamp one more. Oh, I didn't ink that one very good. Okay. All right. Now, the reason I'm stamping off on the paper before I clean it is just so I don't put so much black ink on my cleaning pad. So now that we have that done, now we can feed the body into this stamp, into this punch, and punch it out. And you just want to line it up with just a narrow little margin. Easy peasy. Come on, pop out. That's never happened before. Guess I didn't punch it all the way. It's okay. We'll just take our little scissors, finish him off. I didn't push it all the way. My bad. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other little bee body. Okay, I pushed that one all the way. So now we've got two little bee bodies, we've got two little antennas, and we've got two wings. So now what we want to do is add our faces. So I grabbed one of the faces that I liked, and I'm getting my littlest block out. And I'm just going to ink this up in black. Now, you want one bee to face one direction and one bee to face the other direction. So make sure you do that. So we've got that guy. Look how cute. And we've got this one. So just don't forget to change your bees direction so that you have them facing opposing ways. All right, and I believe that is all of our stamping. I'm going to close this up so we don't make a mess. So now all we have to do is assemble. So get my blocks out of the way. All right, so now we have our card base. So we're going to go ahead and grab our silicone craft sheet, and I'm going to start out by adding some adhesive to our front panel. I'm trying to stay in your camera view here. I have a bad habit of that. I'm sure you've noticed. I get going and forget to keep you in view. So we're just going to layer this onto the front of our card. I have a little bit of Stampin' Seal Plus sticking out, just pushing that back. Okay, easy peasy. And now we just want to adhere this piece on there as well. I'm using Stampin' Seal Plus because that's what I have handy. Liquid glue will work well, and of course Stampin' Seal is fine too. So now I'm going to just layer this on here. Trying to get my bottom straight. There we go. Now see how that worked? That worked out perfect. So now the next thing we want to do is grab a scrap of red cardstock and that hexagon punch I told you about. I have too small of a piece. Let me grab another scrap. So I'm going to grab that hexagon punch and punch a shape out. Love this punch because it works for a lot of sayings. It's just super handy. So our punch is going to go wherever you want it. Maybe about right here so we don't close up those hearts, but we could totally put it like this too. I think that looks cute. So I know that I'm only going to glue this half of this shape. So I'm going to flip it over and I'm just going to grab some liquid glue. And I'm just going to put glue on half of it because I don't want glue on the wrong part. That will be a disaster. And now I'm going to put it in place. And I'm kind of using the curves of the stamp as my guide. And I'll just hold this for a moment. You can also tell if you have it straight by looking at this edge here. So I'm going to hold it for a moment because I want to make sure it's in place. All right, so now we're going to work on these little bees. So I have the little bees here, and we have wings. And then we have our antennas, and we have our love you. All right, so I'm going to grab my liquid glue, and I'm going to put a little bit on these wings, and I'm going to put a drop on each of these antennas, and I'm doing it right on the top because we're going to, oh, look what I've done. We're going to just tuck it right in place. So I'm going to put these wings right here, and I'm going to give it just a moment. Got a little bit. And then I'm going to put this one here. I'm going to give it a moment to stick, and then while we're waiting for that to stick, this is a great way. This would be great if I had my Take Your Pick tool handy right now. So now I'm just tucking those antennas in place. And we're going to give this, whew, that didn't fall the wrong way. We're going to give this a moment to dry. Look how cute they are. They're so adorable. Of course, my fingers have ink on them. Make sure your fingers are not inky. And somewhere, I usually keep my little eraser handy. I'm not sure where I've put it. It's okay. Here it is. That's probably adhesive. Yes, it is. Get yourself one of these. I tell you, it's a lifesaver. All right. So now that I've given them a moment to set, I'm going to flip them over. And I'm going to just put some dimensionals on the back because we want those to pop up a little bit. So I'm going to kind of put one so it's over the wings and over the antenna, like that. Now you notice I'm not putting them too close here or here because I want to make sure I'm not going to hang over my tag when I put my tag on. I've made that mistake before where pieces of the dimensional are hanging out, and I've had to like do a little surgery to fix that. So I'm putting them on just like this. I'm going to take those papers off. All right, now I'm going to grab that card and we're just going to pop these on. I'm going to look and see where that dimensional is because I want to make sure it's not hanging off. Put that one there. And I'm going to put this one here. And then we have this little love you. So I'm only going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom part of this heart. You could also use a dimensional if you want. I'm just going to use glue because we've already popped up the bees, so we don't really have to pop up the heart. I'm going to make sure I don't have any glue on that side. And I'm just going to give it just a moment to dry. All right, and then the last thing I want to do is grab these little embellishments because they're so super cute. And I'm going to grab, I think, some pink. You could use yellow too. And I'm just going to put 2 hearts here like that. And they kind of go with the other pink heart. So there you go. Look how cute. I think this would be cute with some Wink of Stella as well. You make my heart buzz. So who wouldn't love to get that Valentine's card? So again, this is called a Z-fold card. Super simple. You can even add another panel of paper here. You've got plenty of room to write, and it's a sweet little card. So there is that one. So now we are going to start on our next card. Get this out of the way. The next card we're going to make is a corner fold card. Another super simple one. Here is our sample. So it's basically a basic card fold, and then we've just cut a piece of designer series paper and folded down the front. All right, so let me show you how that is made. So we're going to do 5 1/2 and score at 4 1/4. So it's your basic fold. All right, easy peasy. And then we're going to get our designer series paper, which I've chosen to use these cute little jars, and that's going to be 4 by 5 wait a minute, I'm looking at this, 4 by 5 1/4. Yeah, that's correct. So I want my jars to be facing the long way, so I'm going to do the 5 1/4 this way. And 4. Okay. So that's going to go on the front of our card, and all you have to do is just fold down part of the corner. However you want, however much you want. That's it. That's all you have to do there. And then we need a piece of white for the inside, and that is going to be the same. It's going to be 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to do, what do we have here? 5 1/4. By 4. So that's for the inside. And then we're also going to cut a 1/2 inch by 4 inch. We're going to do 2 pieces. You could also do 1 inch by 4 inch. That would work as well. I kind of like the thinner 1/2 inch. So I'm going to cut 2 of those, just like that. And I like these. They're like, they match there's a stamp that has these little bee I don't know, I call them bee trails, but all right. And then we're going to set that aside, and then we need to cut one piece of cardstock scraps. Let's see where my scraps are. Oh, did I misspell them? I've been going through scraps like crazy today. We're just going to use this piece. So we're going to grab that hexagon punch again, and we're just going to cut one of those. All right, so to create this card in front of me here, we're going to first do our stamping. So I'm going to grab the Happy Valentine's Day and the Real Red, and I'm going to stamp our image on there. Okay, look how pretty that is. I love that script. Clean that off. And then the inside of the card is going to say, "You'll always be the one for me." And I like to do that. You could do that in the red, or you could do it in black. I'm going to do it in black. Let's see, where is my saying? Here it is. So we're going to set this aside, and we're going to grab this and our block. This is why I keep all my stamps handy, so it is not hard to find what I'm looking for. I'm just going to ink this up. My Memento ink is getting a little bit dry. I need to ink it up. All right, and I'm going to stamp this a little bit offset like that. Clean it off. And the reason I did that is because there's this cute little trail, and I'm going to stamp that as well. And I'm going to make it start at the word bee and just kind of go down like that. All right, and there's that piece. Okay. And you're probably wondering, okay, well, what are you going to do with that now? Well, in the designer series paper, there are the cutest little bees here. And they're holding flowers. They're just so sweet. So there's some that are flying, and there's some that are just holding flowers. So I'm going to take this little guy who's holding flowers. I'm just going to roughly cut around it so I can get most of the paper out of the way. And I'm just going to take my scissors and cut him out with his little flower. I just think it's so sweet. I mean, you could stamp this as well, but I thought this was, I like the vividness of these colors, and it's just sweet, and it just looks really pretty against the paper. So you just grab your scissors, and if you keep your scissors still and just move your paper, it's really easy to cut these, and you can do them as contoured as you want. So that's done. So now I'm going to grab my silicone craft sheet and add a little liquid glue below, just like that. And I'm going to pop that little bee on there however you want. Look how cute. Just like that. And you still have plenty of room to put your greeting. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive to these pieces. Went off the side a little bit. Trying to hurry, so that's what happens. But I really wanted to make several of these so you could get an idea of how fun this stamp set is. So there's that. And then we'll do the same thing for this other strip of paper. Again, remember this is 1/4 1/4 or a 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch by 4 inches. And I made 2 of them. So there could be one at the top and one at the bottom. So just like that. And then all you have to do now is put your adhesive on the back. My adhesive's getting a little empty. Of course, it always is when I am doing this for you. But that's okay, I have another one waiting. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this on. And it really pops against this Daffodil Delight. Look how pretty. All right, and so then this piece, I like to pop a dimensional behind the fold right here, so that when you fold it back, it kind of pops out a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and glue that down. And you could use liquid glue or your Stampin' Seal, whatever you want. And I'm just kind of getting around all of the bends just so they don't lift up. And now we're just going to pop this in place. Of course, I did that a little crooked. Can't have that. Not that anybody would care probably who got it. All right, so now we have our Happy Valentine's Day. So we're just going to grab some dimensionals again and pop that on the front. I'm just going to do like this. Okay, perfect. And then the last thing I did is I took a piece of that sweet sorbet ribbon and I tied a little bow, just like that, just something simple. And I'm going to grab a glue dot and I'm going to put a glue dot on the back. Just push it down and pop it off. And I'm going to pop that right there. So there you go. Look how sweet. That looks perfect that way. And then if you wanted to, you could actually take those little hearts that are included in the stamp set. You could add a little extra. We'll do that. I'm going to open up my card so it's flat. And I'm grabbing those little trio of hearts. And I'm going to put one here and one here. Look how sweet that is. I'm going to clean that off, and there's one bigger heart. So we're going to stamp that one too, and I'm going to put that one right there, just to give it a little bit of interest in that little plain flap. I like it that way. So there you go. Look how pretty. There's no bling on this whatsoever, even though I'm dying to put some on, but it's just perfect this way. So there's card number 2. So now the next card we're going to make is called a curtain fold. So here's our card. So this is the curtain fold, or it kind of looks like a dress shirt with a collar. Any way you want to look at it, that is what we're going to do next. Let me close up the stamp pad. So to make this card, we're going to grab that paper cutter again. And we're going to do our standard card base. So I'm taking a half sheet of paper and it's, make sure, 5.5 by 8.5, and you're going to score it at 4 1/4, just like normal. Just like that. Okay. Put this with the bone folder. And then we're going to take our designer series paper. This one sort of has a direction, so I want to make sure that I'm cutting that 4 by 5 1/4. So the 4 inches is up here and the 5 1/4 is this way. So our bees are flying the right direction. 5 1/4. All right, and then to make that tuxedo fold or that curtain fold, however you want to refer to it, is you're going to put your paper on the 2 5/8 mark, which is halfway, because we're cutting a 2-inch slice halfway down the paper. Now I'm going to put my cutting blade on the 2-inch mark. There's a little notch there so you know where your 2-inch mark is. And I'm just going to slice it, okay? Now, this is optional, but I find it helpful for me. I'm going to score from the corner, and this is the beauty of this scoring, this cutting arm that's see-through. I'm kind of lining up where my cutting mark ended up and where my point is, and that's going to help me create my little score line. For me, it helps me fold the paper a little bit smoother, so I do it that way. And if it helps you, you can put a little mark right there at the end of your line so that you can kind of see where your cutting line ended. Sometimes it's hard to see that on a pattern paper. All right, so now I'm just doing that. Make sure I did this one right. So that's how I do it. You don't have to. You could just simply fold it. But I find it easier to do it this way. So now I'm just going to fold my corners exactly where I scored it. Okay? And then our last piece, of course, is going to be the inside of our card. So I'm going to grab another sheet of basic white. And we're going to cut, remember, 4 by 5 1/4. So the good thing about these cards is we're doing the same base over and over again. We're just changing it just a little bit. All right. And I think I've already got these. We're going to do 2 more pieces for the inside. I almost forgot about that. So we're going to do, this is a 1 inch wide, so I'm just going to cut it in half. So it's a 1/2 inch wide by 4 inches wide. I believe those are 4 inches. Yes. All right, I'm going to set those aside. So that's it for that card. So now we're going to assemble. So to make this card, I'm going to give this a nice little crease with the bone folder. And the reason I'm doing that is if you move your score line, if you just go over it with your bone folder, it disappears where your little boo-boo was. So I'm going to go ahead and get a dimensional, just like I did before, and pop that underneath the edge of the cardstock. I just like to keep it having kind of a little lift on the front. It just makes it more interesting that way. And then we're just going to fold those down. So now they pop up a little. They have a little texture to them. All right, and now we're going to put our adhesive on there. I'm hoping my adhesive holds out on me. And I'm just kind of following around the card a little bit where I cut, just because I want it to not catch on anything. Well, that's pretty good. So now I'm going to take my card and just center this on here as best I can, like that. See how easy that was? All right, so now we're going to go ahead and stamp on the front, and I'm going to stamp "You Make My Heart Buzz." So cute. So that is this stamp. Grab my block. And I'm going to do this in black because it will pop on this petal pink paper. Make sure I've inked it up good. I really got to ink this pad up a little bit. So there you go. So cute. Can't stand it. All right. And then I'm going to grab some scrap red cardstock. I'm going to close this up before I make a mess. And I'm going to punch out 2 of the little hearts that are in this punch. So there's 1. 2. Where'd you go? It's probably stuck to me. All right, we're going to do one more because I've managed to already lose it. All right, and then I'm going to grab a mini dimensional for each one and pop that on the back. There's 1, 2, take those papers off. And then we're just going to pop those on the front like that. Look how pretty. And I'm not going to do anything else with the front. You could put a tag here if you want. I like it just the way it is. And then in the inside, I'm just simply going to have Happy Valentine's Day. And I'm going to do that in black, but you could totally do it in red. It would look pretty that way too. See if I can get this to look pretty. There we go. And then we're going to add our 2 strips to the inside. There's a pattern here today, isn't there? And I'm just going to use this liquid glue. Try not to get my fingers gluey. Is gluey a word? It is now. I've made it one. Okay. I'm going to pick up this. I love this putty tip for this because when you're working with small things that have glue, that putty tip goes a long way with not getting your fingers messy. When I've been crafting for a few hours, I have sticky fingers. I have to get up and wash them. All right, so there's our card on the inside. And now I'm just going to add our adhesive to the back. All right. And make sure all my little corners are tucked. And I'm going to center this as good as I can. Pop that down. There we go. Look how pretty. Very simple card to make, but it's very eye-catching. All right, so there's card number 3. And now our last card. This is a fun one. This card is called a double point fold. So the card base is a little bit different, but look at this. How fun is that? Super, super cute. So let me show you how to make that. So instead of your normal card fold, we're only going to cut one panel. So that's going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we're going to do 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, so that is our base. And then we're going to grab our Whisper White, our basic white. I am never going to stop calling that Whisper White, I don't think. I'm just used to saying it from when it used to be called Whisper White. So now I'm going to cut it 4 by 5 1/4, so that there's just a little narrow margin. 4 by 5 1/4. All right. And then the next thing you're going to do, I've chosen this designer series paper. So you're going to cut 2 pieces that are 3 by 4 inches. Now, the 4 inches is going to be at the top of the card, so you want to look at direction. This is actually directional paper. So I'm going to cut this 4 inches by 3 inches. So I'm going to cut, whoop, try not to squish it. Cut it like that, and then I'm going to cut 3 inches. And we're going to do 2. Okay, and it's important if you have directional paper to make sure that they're stacked opposite. Actually, let's see. Yes. Okay, this way. So now you're going to score it 1 inch at the 1 inch line on the put it on the short side, the 3-inch side, and you're going to score your 2 pieces at 1 inch. So I'm scoring the first one so that the flowers are facing up, because this is ultimately going to be on my card like this. And then the bottom one, I still want my flowers to face up, so I'm going to score the bottom half of that, if that makes sense, at 1 inch. If you do it wrong, it really doesn't matter. But now when I fold it, my flowers are both facing the same way, if that makes sense. So we have that. And then we need a strip of paper, 2 by 4 1/4. Had to think about that. I'm using red, so that is 4 1/4 by 2. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some designer series paper again, and I think I'm going to use, let's see what I have laying around here. I like this, so we're going to use this. So we're going to make this slightly smaller. So instead of 2 by 4 1/4, we're going to do 4 by 1 7/8. We're just making it slightly smaller. Make sure I did it right. I always have to double check. So I did not do it right. What did I make this? Bear with me. 4 1/4 by 2. All right. Actually, we'll just cut a little bit off the top, off the sides. 2. Not a big deal. Oh, look what okay, we're starting over now. We messed that one up. Looking for some more designer series paper. There we go. All right, we're going to do this again. Take 2. So we have 2. So we're going to make that 1 7/8. Sometimes I make myself crazy. All right, and we have 4 1/4. So we want to do 4 1/8. That's what I did wrong. So 2 by 4 1/8. I'm just trying to make that have just a slightly smaller margin. All right, thanks for bearing with me there. I don't know why I did that. Okay, so now we're ready to assemble our card. So the first thing we want to do is grab those 2 pieces, figure out which is your top and which is your bottom. And then all you need to do is fold your insides points to the center on each side. Now, if you wanted to score your paper down the middle to do this, you could totally do that. Or you can just eyeball it like I'm doing. And I'm just going to grab my bone folder and crease it. So you've got one that looks like this. So I've gone a little too far, but that's okay. We can make that work. There we go. Just use your bone folder to fix it. Got a little glue on my fingers, so of course I put it on the paper. Okay, and then for the bottom, we're going to do the same thing. So I kind of, sometimes it's hard to see because you've got patterns, so just eyeball it the best you can, and then bring this corner up, and they should meet pretty closely. Okay, like that. And if you need to adjust it, totally do it. It's paper, it's forgiving. All right, so I've got mine folded. So there's my bottom, and I'm gonna crease, and here's my top. Okay, So now we're going to do some stamping on this. And ultimately on this card, I would not normally glue it together, but I like to glue these pieces on first because I'm going to know where to put my message. So this is my bottom piece. You want to make sure you're putting the bottom piece on the bottom and the top piece on the top. So here we go. We're going to add some liquid glue. And you just want to take your paper and just kind of line it up and fold it down. And we've still got to put a little bit of glue here too. I'm going to just put a little adhesive here and a little adhesive here, or you could use liquid glue. Pop those down. Okay, so here is our top, and then here's our bottom. Let me go ahead and adhere these down too. You don't want them popping up on you. All right, and now I'm going to add some adhesive or liquid glue to the bottom of this panel. Line up your bottoms and kind of fold it before you push it down. And then if you end up not aligning it very well, like this is fine, but if I've done them before where a little's hanging over, just use your scissors and give it a trim. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do before we stamp is I'm grabbing this best, what is it called? The Best Trio Punch. You know, I always keep it handy to tell you what it's called, and every single time I manage to lose the paper, but I think it's the Very Best Trio Punch is what it's called, and I love it because it's got corners. It's got a straight corner, a decorative corner, and then it's got a little opening to put a ribbon. So I really like this punch. I use it quite a bit. So the key with using this punch is I'm cutting my corner. Whoops, I'm going to do it again and not drop it this time. Okay, and then I flip it because you have to flip it to make sure your shape is the same. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing here. And then I'm going to flip it. Okay, so there's our first piece. And remember, we cut that other piece slightly smaller. So I'm just doing the same thing. And then rotate it. And then punch it. And then flip it. If you don't flip it, you're not going to have the same pattern on each corner. And then when you're done, because we made it 1/8 of an inch smaller, you've got a nice little narrow margin and everything lines up. And if you're a scrapbooker, these make cute little photo corners, so you can keep those. I'm not much of a scrapbooker. My mother-in-law is. She loves it. Me, not so much. Plus, I don't have room in an RV to keep scrapbooks. All our pictures we had to create digital copies, even from before digital cameras. We had to sit and scan all our photos before we went full-time in our RV because we couldn't take 30-something years of photos, plus high school and grade school and everything else we had photos of. We couldn't bring those with us. And the kids did not want to hold on to them, so we scanned them. So there we go. I've layered that on there. And so that piece is done. So now we can add it to the top of our card. So I'm just going to take some adhesive and put it right here. You don't want to go too far. And then I'm going to just line it up where I want it and push it down. Okay, so that's on there. Look how cute. All right, so now I know exactly where I want to put my message, and I'm going to use You'll Always Be the One for Me. Or the Happy Valentine's Day would be super cute too, but I'm going to use this one, and then we're going to grab our red ink, real red, and I'm just going to make sure it's in the middle and stamp stamp it down. Okay? So now when it's closed, you can't see it. So now that I know I haven't messed that up, we'll go ahead and attach this to our real red card base. Like so. Okay, so now all we have left is to decorate the front. So I'm going to grab some scrap paper and I'm going to grab this. Okay, so now we're going to create our piece for the front. So super simple, you're just building your bee. So I'm grabbing Daffodil Delight. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab the bee's body, which is the round stamp. Whoops. And I'm going to ink him up really good. This is an ancient Daffodil Delight pad, but it still works. And I'm going to, I want to leave plenty of room because I've got to do wings. So I'm going to do that right here. Stamp it down. Clean that off. All right. Now I'm going to close this up and I'm going to grab the black. And I'm going to grab my basic black. See if I can find it. Because I know my Memento ink needs to be re-inked. So this is the bee's body. So I'm going to put that onto the stamp block. Hopefully this ink pad's a little better. I'm going to ink him up good, and then I'm just lining him up. I'm going to have to pull this out of view for a second. That looks horrible. I need to order some black pads. All right, we're going to clean this off, and we're going to do this again. Bear with me. We're almost done. So we've got that. And then we've got our body. And you're just going to line it all up. It's not perfect, but it's okay. Clean him off. And then I'm going to add his little face. Where's my little block? There it is. I always say he. Don't know why. All right. Happy little bee. And then I'm going to grab its antennas. And we're going to put those right there. So cute. All right, so that's it for, we have one more thing we're going to use the black ink for. So we're going to go ahead and do it right now. I'm going to grab a piece of petal pink and I'm going to cut that heart out. And we're going to grab the Love You again. That's the one that fits perfectly on the heart. And we're going to stamp that. Okay. Now all we have left are wings. So when you do your wings, a little tip, you need a mask because you don't want the wings to look like a heart. You want them to look like wings. So just cut a piece of just regular paper, not cardstock. Cardstock's too thick. You're going to cut that out with the punch so it's the shape of the body. And then you're going to get your wings out, which is the heart stamp and the heart background stamp and then the wing detail stamp. So I'm going to grab that heart and I'm going to grab my petal pink. And you're going to want to stamp off so your wings are not too bright. So I'm going to ink up my wings. I'm going to stamp off. And then I'm going to stamp them on the body. just like that, okay? Because if you don't do it that way, you lose the detail. And then once that's done, you're going to grab your stamp again, and you're going to grab your mask again, and you're going to ink up your wings with the same petal pink, but you're not going to stamp off this time. And I'm going to have to pull this out of the way for a second. It's hard to see the petal pink because it's very light. But then you're going to put your background stamp on. So there you go, you've got your wings. So we're going to close this up, and very quickly we're going to fussy cut this bee. It's super easy to do. You just keep your scissors pretty still and move your paper. I find that's the easiest way to do it. Some people swear by long scissors. I really like my paper snips. I don't know if it's just because I use them all the time. I'm very comfortable cutting with my paper snips, so that is my scissor of choice. But if you like regular long-handled or long scissors, go for it. Whatever works for you. And I'm just getting around these little antennas a little, and the rest is easy peasy. So there we go. There you go. If you have any little, I try not to have any points. Once in a while I get a point in there. Okay, so there's our bee. He's so cute. So now we're just going to assemble this. So all we need to do is pop some dimensionals on the back of our bee. So he pops up. Or she. Don't know why I'm calling bees he's. Especially since the queen's the boss. Okay, there we go. Oh, I did not take that paper off. So we're going to stick our little bee here. And then this little love you, I'm going to pop a dimensional onto it. Probably put 2. And I think I'll put a mini on the point, like that. All right. And I'm putting this in a way that looks cute, but also I'm going to grab a Stampin' Write or a black marker or pen, whatever works, and I'm going to add 2 little hands holding this. Just like that. There we go. Look how cute. Who wouldn't love getting this card? You could add some bling to it. You could add embellishments, whatever you want. But that's just adorable, just the way it is. So here we go. We're going to recap all of our samples. So we've got our, I'm burying myself. So we have our double point fold. Super easy, right? Then we've got our curtain fold. Cute, cute. And then we've got our corner fold. And then last but not least, then we have finally our Z fold card. So there you go. There are 4 adorable Valentine's cards using the Bee Mine suite, a brand new suite of products in the current mini catalog. And remember, when you order during the season, you earn free products, which I'll be demonstrating soon, for every $50 you spend. So I hope you love this card as much as I do. I hope you have a sweetheart you can send it to. Please subscribe to my channel so that you get notification of all of my videos, and leave me some comments if you get a chance to make this card for your sweetheart. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Jill the Wandering Stamper, and I hope you get a chance to craft today.